Hello and welcome to Integrated Marketing Bureau TV. I'm Steve Hyland. Now, many businesses know that they should be doing it. Some do it, but not very well. I'm talking about social media. From Twitter to Facebook and LinkedIn to Instagram, there's a social media platform your business should be using. But how do you use it successfully? Nick Bryant is Managing Director of Social Media First. Nick, tell me, why is social media so important for businesses today?
Well, there's never been a better time for businesses to get their products and services online. There's a mass of people that use social media, and we believe that the consumer is now looking to social media to help them make a decision on whether they use a product or buy a service, or buy a service or use a product.
What would you say to businesses that have tried it and it doesn't fit, they don't feel it's worked for them?
I think what they need to realise is that it's not going to make their phone ring overnight. I think what they need to realise is that it's more a case of having a strong presence online, so that when the consumer does look at what their presence is, they can see that there is stuff going on and there's other people talking about their products and services, which strengthens up their brand.
So from your point of view then, when you're talking to your clients, is it a case of controlling and maintaining expectations when you talk about what they can achieve from it? And is it part of an integrated marketing campaign that they're putting together?
Yes. I mean, social media is really, really important, but it's not everything. It's important to mix it with other opportunities. As I mentioned earlier, if you look at an advert in a newspaper or a magazine and you see a product that you like, you're going to go and check it out online. But if you didn't see it in the magazine or the newspaper in the first place, then you wouldn't go and check it out online. So it's really important that they back that up with consistent social media that looks good, and you know it keeps going.
How did you get into it? How did you start? Was there a need? Did you discover it, or was there something else? You thought this is a great way to make money. How did you get into social media and actually providing that as a service?
Yeah, well, I used to have a magazine publishing company, which was a free magazine, which was sponsored by advertising. In 2008, when the financial crisis hit, advertisers were looking at other ways to get their products and services to the marketplace, and they were looking at social media. So I decided that I would, close the magazine, sell the magazines, and then help them with their social media at a much lower cost than it did cost them to put a full-page advert in a magazine.
Is it important, do you think, because you have the skills of being able to write, is it important for the likes of social media, for the Facebooks of the world, for the Twitters of the world, is it important to be able to write something, do you think, these days? Or is it a case of just really understanding what your proposition is?
It's really important that the grammar is good. You see a lot of social media where there's a full stop missing or a comma missing, or there's a graveyard in the paragraph, and that's really, really important because it's
a graveyard.
Yeah, where the text doesn't fall nicely underneath the rest of the text. And I know it's a strange term.
You need to get out more.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that's really important because it's a visual thing. It's really important that it looks professional for one, but also is entertaining as well, and it's engaging. That's really, really important.
What do you think the core things are that I need to remember if I'm starting off? Say I'm doing no social media at the moment. Is there a social media platform that I should be going towards? I know that you concentrate a lot on Twitter, but is there a particular platform, or is it horses for courses? It
depends on the business. It really, really does, and it's important that you go where your potential customers are. So you go where the action is, if you like. But it's really important that you share stuff. Social media is about sharing other people's stuff and aligning yourself with potential customers and potential clients and sharing their products and services on your channels, whatever that channel may be. And it's very important that you don't talk about yourself all the time. I take this as an example where the way we look at social media is if you're throwing a party, right, and you're in the party and you're the host of the party and you're standing in the middle of the room and all the guests are there and you talk about yourself all night, the people are going to leave. People are going to leave. They're going to leave.
That'll be the answer then. That'll be the reason.
They're going to leave the party. Yeah. So don't do that on social media. Find out what other people are about. Share their stuff. Get interested in other people. Concentrate on other people rather than yourself. And that
is the clue, do you think, in the word social, the fact that you are sharing it?
There you go. Yeah, it really is. It really is. It is about sharing. But people overlook that, and it's really important.
What about when it comes to expectations that clients and customers have when you're talking to them initially? What are the major worries that they have, and what are the major mistakes that they make?
The major worries they have when they're looking to us for doing their social media for me is that they say, well, you don't know anything about my business. How can you write about my business? And therefore, and then we came up with the counter out there, which is what I just said. We don't actually write about your business too much. We share other people's stuff that's relevant to your business, which also grows your following. So you've got more people to market your business to. And it's important that you do say something about your business, but just not all the time. So when they say to you, but you don't know anything about business, well, we don't need to. It's really important that we know about what's going on in and around your industry, which of course we can research. And we can plagiarise as well from what other people are saying. That's okay, because that's what's going on in their industry at that time. So we ease their worry and their pain by telling them that that's how we approach their social media.
And what about the processes then? So we've talked about how you're approaching their social media, and you've now convinced them that they want to actually do it. Yeah. But no social media platform is going to stand in isolation within a business, is it? There must be a process or a system that you put in place to make it effective. How do you go about that, and what are the steps that you take?
To make it effective, well, we'll look at what they've got. We'll look what they're doing. Generally, it's sporadic. Generally, it can be quite good. But what they miss out on sometimes is that in between where they haven't got something to say. So they'll write something on their social media channels, but they might not have something important to say for another week. So what happens in between that? There's no activity, and it's important that you keep that activity going. So we'll look at that, and we'll fill in the gaps, if you like, by looking about what's going on in their industry, sharing other people's stuff, commenting on other people's stuff, liking other people's stuff, so that there's activity going on in between those one or two posts that they do from one month to another. So we'd look at that and see how they're achieving that, and we'd fill those gaps in, because that's usually the main thing. They don't know what to say in between when they've got something to say. So
they've got something to say. Yep. There was this old thing, wasn't there, once where somebody said, I don't know which part of my marketing budget works.
Yes.
50% works, 50% doesn't, but I don't know which bit it is.
Yeah.
When it comes to analytics and actually knowing the effectiveness of it, there's going to be businesses that you're going to approach and they're going to say, I did it, it didn't work. How long do you actually attempt to make it work? Is there a time scale, or do you just have to do it and keep doing it?
I think you've got to keep doing it. You have got to keep doing it. It might not make your phone ring overnight. It might do, but it might not, because that's marketing. You've got to keep your name out there. But we can show to the businesses that what we're doing is working, because we can look at their Google Analytics or behind their website, and we can show them that traffic has come from Facebook, has come from Twitter, has come from LinkedIn, and we can measure that after and see which ones are best, which ones are worse. But as far as what we do, we're doing our job because we're sending people to their websites. Their websites should then do the job that they should do, which is then convert them into a customer. So it won't make the phone ring overnight, but it's important that it's a long game. It's a long game, but as is marketing here.
When I come into you and I talk to you about it, and I go, yes, I want to do a Twitter, I want to have a Twitter campaign.
Okay.
Do you advise people on all the different social media platforms? Because a lot of people will pigeonhole them, won't they? They'll say Twitter is for one thing, LinkedIn is for another, Instagram is for something else, and Facebook is not really for business. But it seems to be that Facebook is becoming more and more important to businesses. Yeah. How do you advise businesses today? If someone was watching this and they're saying, I don't know which platform I should be on, what would you say to them?
Well, I think it's important that they realise that Facebook is for business. There's 33 million people in the UK that use Facebook out of the 69 million people in the UK. So that's a huge chunk of the population. And when they sign up on Facebook, they say what their job description is. So it's a really good way of marketing to someone through Facebook. But when they ask for, say, for instance, just a Twitter campaign, we would say to them, okay, have you looked at the other channels? We'd find out about their business, and we'd sort of steer them in the right direction for which channels would work for them. If they're a financial institution or an accountant, it might not necessarily work on Instagram, because it's a very pictorial channel, of course. However, Twitter and Facebook, it would work, and of course it would work on LinkedIn. So we would advise them that Twitter just on its own would not be a good idea. We think you should do this and this and that as well.
And what other benefits are there? For instance, things like SEO. Does SEO come into this? Will it drive traffic to my website too?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, as soon as you set up a social media channel, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, you'll get another line in Google. So that gives you opportunity to go higher up, but also to be seen more. But all the time we're posting on Facebook and Twitter, Google recognise that, because we're using words that are relevant to that business. So Google will recognise that, and they'll see them as an authority in that industry, and they'll put them up higher. We've got clients that have got websites that are static with no information on them, but we've also got a Twitter account, and when we Google them, their Twitter account is higher than their website because of the content we put on their Twitter channel.
So it's constant output, it's making certain that you're across all the different social media platforms and that you're consistent out there. You are continuing to see, it's not one a week, it's maybe one a day,
well,
two a day?
One a day, maybe 4 days a week, maybe miss a day just so you can gather momentum. What we do for our clients, we do 4 days a week. We do a Facebook post a day, we'll probably do 5 or 6 tweets a day, one of them about their business, five of them probably sharing other people's stuff, retweeting other people's stuff, and aligning them with maybe businesses that they're already doing business with, to retweeting their stuff so they can see that they're sharing the love with their clients. So it strengthens relationships as well. It's very good for influence marketing. Yeah.
What do you think the single biggest mistake is? Is it just not giving it the time it deserves to mature and to grow, or is it what they say? Is it the fact that they're always trying to sell? Because I mean, everybody wants to sell. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
What do you think the single biggest mistake is when you talk to your clients?
I think the biggest trap they fall into is using it as a sales tool. I mean, it is a sales tool, of course, but if you think of it in that way, then it's not going to work. You've got to think about it as if you're at a networking meeting. Another example I use is that you've got all this online people out there, and so, but if you say you went to a networking meeting and you stood in the middle of the room and everyone's talking about their business, you stood in the room and said nothing, that's what it's like having a social media channel and not using them and talking about what you do. So I think a trap to fall into is the fact that you talk about yourself too much and you should be sharing the love a bit more.
Sharing the love a bit more. Listen, on all of these programs, we always invite our guests to look straight down one of our cameras to say who they are and where they're from, and to give us the key takeaways that we need to remember. If we're in business and we are actually looking at the moment at putting together a social media campaign, or we're thinking about talking to somebody, if you could just give us the key takeaways that we need to remember. So straight down camera number 4, the airwaves are all yours. Come a little bit closer, don't go away from me there. And straight down camera number 4, who you are, where you're from, and those key takeaways that we as businesses need to remember.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Nick Bryant and my business is Social Media First. We look after the social media for lots of different businesses and lots of different industries. Businesses don't have the time to do their own social media, so we look after it for them. But as I said earlier with Steve, we take an 80-20 approach where 80% of the content we use other people's content, we share, we talk with other people, we gain a community for more followers, and then the 20% we talk about their businesses, driving more people to their websites so they can turn them into a potential customer.
Fantastic. Nick Bryant, thank you very much indeed. Hope you've enjoyed today's edition of the programme. A real fascinating insight into what's important when it comes to be thinking about your social media campaigns. Can I just thank you very much indeed for watching today's show on Integrated Marketing Bureau TV. Now, for more details about our clients and also the services that we provide, please do visit our website or go to our YouTube channel. Can I thank you once again for watching.